Hey everybody, welcome to the 4x5 design project, coming to you live from my basement. This is my studio, my actual studio in my basement. Looks pretty sweet, doesn't it? I think so. Well, this is actually what the basement looks like. I'm so ashamed. Anyway, let's get started here. So for your 4x5 project here, the first thing that you really had to do was to take your thumbnail sketch and turn that thumbnail sketch into a working 4x5 design. So what I'm doing here. In that 4x5 design, you guys were putting close attention to things like color, exact composition, space, texture, line quality. If you'll notice here, I'm using markers. Notice the marks I'm making on the page. They are going in a particular direction. The direction you choose to use with your marks and the textures you choose to use will be as effective as any color or value. So here what we're going to do is turn that design idea into a working final 4x5 design project. First thing you're going to do is to gather a bunch of supplies. I recommend before you start, get all the supplies and more than you think you will need so that in the middle of your design project you don't have to go and try and scrounge up some more supplies. It's better to have more and not use them than to need them in the middle. So I gathered a bunch of scrap paper that I found. Some of it in the recycle bin, some in old stacks of paper. Some of it had writing on it. I was really focusing on color and quality of paper. I also got a bunch of markers, my pencil sharpener, of course, and yes, I even brought in that dreaded glue stick. But guess what? I'm not even joking. I used that glue stick for about 30 seconds and it broke. So there's that. Anyway, once I got all my supplies, then I started getting to work. So one of my hobbies and the subject for my 4x5 design project is writing. And I use a light for safety in the back and in the front. It projects a really, really interesting light, I thought, so I made my design off of that. If you'll notice, I started off working on the bottom layer. For your design project, you should start working on the bottom layer and then build up to the top layers. If you'll notice the background layer, I'm using different types of dark paper. I knew I wanted the background to be dark, but I also wanted it to have a texture, and I wanted it to feel like it had some depth to the darkness, like looking into a night sky. So to do that, I used layers and layers of paper. Once I had that all down, I trimmed off the sides. I glued it down and then trimmed off the sides. I used a ruler and a pencil to precisely mark the most important spots, the centers and sides, so that I knew when I'm positioning things just exactly where I was putting it. My project is to make the lights. I'm going to start off by making the blinking red light that's on the back of my bike. To create the sense of blinking, I wanted to create a pattern of thin red stripes, all radiating out from a central point. I didn't use just one kind of red, and this is really important to follow. When you look at one color, there's all sorts of values and hues to that color. So what I did is I got three different types of red. I got a pink, a red, and a rusty orange color, and I used a marker, a pink marker and a red marker to color those to give them some texture as well and to give that color a little bit more richness to it. And once I had colored all those, then I trimmed them out and began to place them on the design. Before I ever glued them, I placed them and rearranged them until I got them in the exact position that I wanted. When I had everything ready to go, then I glued it all down. Once it was all glued, then I trimmed it down. At this point, you might be like, why? Make it stop. But fear not. Keep rowing, gentlemen. Let's get back to work. Okay, where was I? Yes, onto the white light. So the white light compared to the red blinking light is really clean and clear. To convey that, I'm going to have this have zero texture in it, have everything look very, very smooth. I'm also going to have less of a contrast in the pattern. It's not going to be bright, vibrant red, then black, red, black, red, black. Instead, I'm going to have it be shades of light green going to white, and then having a big, perfectly clean, textureless white. Once I have those cut out, I will place them on there. Make sure that they're in the right position. When I like the position and I think it looks good, I will then glue those things down. Then I'm going to move on to the bike. After thinking about a lot of different colors, I decide on yellow. I choose a yellow bike because I want that to become a focal point of the piece. There's no other yellow in the design, so having just one spot be yellow will draw attention to itself. I draw out the bike freehand on the yellow piece of paper. I trim that out. I put it on my design and I realize there's too much contrast, so I'm going to surround it with a blue border. I make that blue border by taking a white piece of paper and blue marker and putting some textured marker on that white piece of paper. I glue the bike onto that textured blue piece of paper. I cut out the blue piece of paper. Then I place my bike on the design. Placing the bike on the design, I realize it takes away too much from the beautiful diagonal angles going towards the center of the design. So I actually end up chopping up some of the bike so that it fits in with the diagonal lines in the design. I have an almost completed project. The only thing I'm not crazy about is how bright the bike is. So I go in with a marker and make the bike ever so slightly darker, and now I have a final product. The last thing I need to do is just to take a picture of my design, well lit and evenly lit, not blurry, not angled. Take the picture and then crop it down to size, and I am good to go. I'll submit that up to Canvas. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope your projects go great. I hope this served as an inspiration for you.